Kielty, plumbing, heating, cooling, celebrating 15 years of bringing comfort to you. Healing Realty, call RJ Kielty, they'll get your system working to cool you down. And if fixing a leak is what you seek, RJ Kielty service is the best around. RJ Kielty, plumbing, heating, cooling, over 50 years of bringing comfort to you.
Hi, everybody. Tanner Kielty here. I'm with Brooke, and we got Jessica. Say the last name.
Azarelo.
Azarelo.
Azarelo. Yeah, there it
is. With Attic Queen, and I can promise you we're going to have a good one today. So, Jessica, Attic Queen. So you do insulation, extraction, spray foam. Let me start with this. What got you into the business?
Well, the truth is I didn't choose this life. It chose me.
Mm-hmm.
I reinvented myself at 34 and I did a life transformation. I left the corporate world and I got recruited into the industry by a businessman who happened to come across a great opportunity. 90% of people across the country need insulation. Doesn't matter where you are. So
should be 100%.
Yeah, right. Well, nothing's 100, but so if you can answer the phone, do estimates, get the trucks to the job, collect the payments, pay the bills, pay the employees. If something goes wrong, own it. You can essentially run a good business. So he was a great businessman, and I started at the very bottom. Originally, he wanted me to do sales since that was my corporate background. And it was a straight commission job, which I'm not afraid of, especially if 90% of the people across the country need it.
Yeah.
So at that point, it's kind of like, all right, well, that's easy. But what wasn't easy is he said, if you go through the ceiling, I'll pay for the first drywall repair, but everyone after that, you got to pay $250. Now, this was 6 years ago, and I wish drywall repairs cost $250 now. They definitely don't.
No, they don't.
But I kind of freaked out. So again, I'm a woman at this point now trying to enter into a male-dominated trade, and it was a little scary to me. I, again, was kind of going through a personal development kind of thing where I was more trying to figure out who I was. I'm not embarrassed to say I was 34 and really lived my life for everybody else and kind of lost myself along the way. But that just didn't sit well with me. So I started working in the office, making $300 a week, just kind of as his assistant, helping out with paperwork. Somebody would call out of work. I had a clean driver's license and, I was an athlete. I he's like, hey, so-and-so called out of work, go to the shop. I need you to drive the truck there, fill the hopper, collect the payment. Yes, whatever you need. Happened a couple days a week. So I get paid an extra $150 for the day. So now I'm making 500 weeks. Now, mind you, back in corporate, I'm making I found my W-2 when I was cleaning my paper or my office last week to get ready for my new truck private podcast that I'm rebuilding. So I come across my W-2 from 2014. It was $105,000. And I'm like, wow, so now I'm not making a lot of money, but I'm learning this trade. So I'm getting in it. And then, hey, we did 6 removals this week. You think you can drive a 26-foot box truck and move these 4 feet by 6 feet bags? Whatever you need. And I'm at the dump. And I'm literally, I'm only 5'125". So I'm seriously, but I'm he gave me a task and I'm going to do it. So COVID hit and we went from running 1 to 2 trucks a week to 3 to 4. And at that point, I became a team lead. And I remember my first job in the morning, knocked on the door. I said, good morning, this is Jessica. I'm here to do your extraction. And this old couple, and they looked at me and they're like, you? And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, my favorite chore at home is to vacuum, and ain't nobody going to vacuum your attic out better than me. I tell you what, I felt so this old couple, they were watching me, and then they're waiting for me, handing me water. And then I'm going to more job sites and kids are looking at me and they're like, Daddy, what is she doing? And he's like, oh, she's working. Meanwhile, all the dudes are just kind of standing around. And I'm just having fun. I'm exercising and I'm, making people feel comfortable in their house. So I then transitioned into sales because I didn't go through a ceiling once. So I'm this is great. Good. Not once. Actually, it was questionable. This couple had a roof leak. And the drywall was wet and it bowed.
Yeah, we've had those issues before too.
You know, but again, it was my first time, so I was scot-free on the
Yeah.
250. So
Yeah.
that was fine. But then I felt accepted. People were happy to see a woman. People were
Mhm.
happy to see me, like, you know, a lot of people pop up to an access point and they grab their ladder and their flashlight and they're like, oh yeah, oh yeah, you need insulation. Well, no,
Yes.
yeah, literally. Like, or there is rodent species all over the place.
Yeah.
Like, so, you know, I'm like in there and I'm like taking pictures and all that. And it was just like, it was fun, right? Because again, when I worked in corporate, I was solving like major issues, but helping people with credit and finance and,
Mhm.
you know, getting assets in the bank so they can buy their purchase, like all of that, right? So now it's, you know, what are the problems? And I'm trying to come up with solutions. Now, mind you, I was working for a businessman, not a building science man.
Yeah.
So I remember one time I went into an attic and I saw like this just black everywhere. And it was like, no, you see black, you think mold, but it could
Mhm.
also be dirt from air infiltration. In particular, this was over a cathedral area. There's tons of knee walls, which
Yeah.
has more air leakage. And then there was a ton of can lights, which pressures and you have breaks in the thermal boundaries and not understanding. Then you have like a 15-foot ceiling. So it's just more leaky and all of that. But anyway, I remember taking a video showing the homeowner and then they were asking me questions and I didn't know. So I'm like, let me call the owner. And I call him and he screamed and he's like, I am not your very bad word mentor. Like, and he hung up and like instant color loss in my face. And they're like, we love you, but we would never support a company like you. So not long after I found out about a training because now I'm down this
Mhm.
rabbit hole of like, I'm working for somebody. I love this. We're like the top insulation company in the area. Mind you, he was spending 15 grand a month on marketing. It was insane. I'm like, oh, you know, I was like, hey, I have all these pictures and videos. You should pay me 400 a month
Yeah.
and I'll do your Facebook. And he laughed at me. He's like, oh, that's a bad investment. And I'm like, okay. So I found out about this training. I go to the street. He gives me permission to go. It's like a month in advance. And then 2 days before the girls in the office start scheduling me. And I'm like, I'm in Jacksonville for the training. And they're like, well, you might want to call him because he decided you need to be here. So I'm like, he's like, if you go, I see it as a threat and you know, this isn't going to work. So I didn't think he would fire me because at that point I was really leading sales. I
Yeah,
was,
producing.
yeah, like if I was having a bad week, I would sell like 18,000, good week, almost hit 50,000. And
Mhm.
that's really good for
Yeah,
one
installation.
one
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
And then there would be days where somebody would call out, I would get the job done or get the truck there, or a truck would break down. I would like reroute my day. It was like so much fun. It was always
Mhm.
something. But I didn't think that he would end up letting me go because it wasn't a positive environment at all for anybody that worked there. And I kind of
Mhm.
was like the gel between the installers. Like I would, you know, show up in the morning or I'd go over like, you know, I remember one time he like came down on me. He's like, your work orders have so much notes. And I'm like, well, don't you want the installers to
To know.
know like when you're there? Like I want to set them up for success. So anyway, he did hold true and he let me go. But at that point, that training completely changed my life because not only do 90% of people need insulation, but at that time, over 400 million people Googled, is my house making me sick? So a lot
Mm.
of what we were doing was contributing to that. And like sometimes those are the things that keep me up at night. Whereas, you know, those people that I had helped, it's like, oh, well, I don't think I gave them great advice now knowing what I know.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, it's the best thing that had happened for me. I guess I'm kind of, I have a crazy mindset. And it's like when you achieve like a certain level of success, like when you're working in corporate, you get trained a certain way. So I'm kind of, you know, beaten to my own path and, you know, and I'm learning and I'm becoming obsessed. And I knew at that point, I'm like, I have to stay in this industry. And it's, you know, been about 6 years. And I remember when I first left corporate, I would listen to this one podcast, the same podcast. My coach told me to listen to it every day. He's like, oh, you need to listen to this every day for 90 days. And I'm like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Why don't you listen to the same thing every day? And it was like 58 minutes. But if you know, put it to 1.5 speed, you could still understand what he's saying
Yeah.
and get it down in like 41 minutes. But every time I heard something, you know, I heard something new. And it was called Unstoppable by Brian Tracy. It is hands down the one thing I can attribute like to the voices in my head that kept me going and kept me going. And it's just about no matter what, like one thing he said, that if you vow to become an expert and you invest at least an hour a day of like listening to podcasts and putting into, taking care of yourself, your minds, not one thing about me, I would go to the gym. I was like obsessed with working out. I'd go to the gym like 3 different times a day. When I was working in real estate, in one of my offices in Philly, I had a racquetball club in my complex.
Oh, really?
So I'd be meeting like insurance agents on my lunch break to play racquetball, or like
my dad's played racquetball for, I don't know, 40 years or something.
It's
50 years.
Like it's
Richie racket,
it's like hardcore now. Me hitting 40 and hurting my back. I can't. I gotta like reconsider those.
All his friends look like mummies. They're all older guys.
So, but I'm doing all of that. But now it's like I put myself down this rabbit hole, and the one thing I'm like, well, Brian Tracy told me if I did this every day, I would be, become an expert. And not that there's so many people that have been doing this for so long, and I'm grateful. I remember 6 years ago when I would be going live in an attic. Actually, it was 5 because I worked for somebody for a year. And I remember the trainer that I got fired for going to, he was just so enlightened. He's like, we need more women like you. You're the only female owner and operator that we know in this country. And I'm like, great. Well, I don't know what I'm looking for yet. So I would FaceTime him. I would be in an attic and I would be like, please answer, please answer, please answer, please answer. And he would answer my FaceTime. There was one time he was in training and he's like, we were just talking about you in the training class, So in my mind, I'm like, Brian Tracy said, if I do this every day, I will become it. And, it's honestly every single house. And you probably come across this a lot, because what people don't understand is that the house operates as a system. So you start changing one thing, it affects the other thing. And it's kind of like, as an insulator, my hands are tied, right? Because, one of the biggest things that people don't have a good understanding of is the building envelope.
Yep.
Right. And how it affects it. Right. And where do you want your thermal boundary to be? Most homes are traditionally on the attic floor. But if you spray foam your attic, it totally changes it. I was in a house yesterday, attic was spray foamed. And we go in the attic, roof deck, there was puncture in one of the areas. Guess what? That was a 1960s house that had a flat roof with this much space, that they put a new roof on, then spray foamed it. Guess what? There's moisture that's been trapped in that attic space for many years, because you have a thermal boundary here. Then you have the roof deck with this peel and stick, with the wood. And guess what? Different types of insulation. The garage had batting over it, which you don't even need insulation in a garage if it's not conditioned.
Yeah.
This one, they actually did end up conditioning it after the hurricane. So fine, but not fine, because you have that. But again, people aren't realizing they're making changes. They see something that they like, and they don't realize that, if you change this, you need to realize that these are the other things that could be. So this is why I feel like this job kind of makes me insane. Because I know too much. Like, I'm like, oh gosh.
Oh, especially with isoning and,
oh God. And I tell
us
people,
being HVAC,
oh,
originally when all this isoning originally started coming out and getting hot and heavy here, like we installed an air conditioner. Normal, obviously, different loads, your load calculation is different. You need less tonnage, everything else. But there was zero air transfer in your attic.
Especially if you have a thermal here and a thermal here.
So there's nowhere for that to go, So, they finally started we caught on way before, but, the building codes finally started getting caught up where like, hey, you need you need return, you need supply, you need air movement in there.
The biggest thing though is that houses are being built completely different now. And
they're so tight.
Well,
yes and no, I know, but
I wish, because a lot of these, the sad thing is a lot of these people that are building their dream homes, and they're getting their story and a half or their 2-story, and their 15-foot ceilings, and their tray ceilings, and their 68 can lights, and all of these amazing things. And they're really moving into like a nightmare, because it's very hard, right? If you're in a boat in the Gulf of America, and all of a sudden your boat starts getting in holes, right? Who knows what's happening, but pew, pew, hole. Air and water are essentially the same thing, right? So if you take this big, beautiful house and you start putting holes in it, you're allowing the air infiltration just because of the law of thermodynamics, how air wants to move, high pressure to low pressure, wet to dry. If you have 85% humidity in your attic and your indoor humidity levels are lower, the air is wet to dry, right? So not only now is it pulling warm, moist air because you wanted to have more light, give me light. I will give you 87 can lights, and you surely will also get a lot of air leakage and a lot of, oh, well, now all of a sudden my indoor humidity level is high. I wonder why, especially if you're in a hot climate zone. We're in climate zone. So I have to put a disclaimer in there, depending on where you're watching this, which I'm sure most of it is in Florida. If you're in Minnesota, don't listen to what I'm saying. I'm looking you right in the camera to tell you this. Because honestly, where you live has a lot of a driving factor. So if you're just coming in live, we are in beautiful Newport Richey, Florida, climate zone 2. So yeah.
A little different.
A lot different. So dealing with the humidity is crazy. But again, you want to make sure, a lot of these homeowners, they see these DIY things. Or they just see these home shows and they're like, oh, my house doesn't look like that. It's like, well, you better do it right.
Yeah.
No, because like if you don't do it, like you have to have a plan, and then people don't realize you're potentially.
And there's everything you got to look at too. Like you got to look at insulation.
Yeah.
You got to look at,
yeah, exactly.
on and on and on. You can't just think of, hey, I just want this little product. There's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to read some of the?
Oh yeah. Let's do it. You've got a
some
lot
comments.
Black and yellow. So I have to give a quick shout out real quick to Black and Yellow. Charles Shackelford. He was my boss in corporate America, and we're still we follow from a distance. But Chuck Shackelford helped me become one of the strong people I was in corporate. So thank you. But he was the one that was like, you know what? When I listened to that song, Black and Yellow, it's like Azarelo, Azarelo. So I have to give a shout out to Chuck Shackelford. You're the best. And hopefully you can make it down for the music video when I rewrite that song.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it'll be good. So, hey, Jen.
Scotty Blankenship said, hey, y'all.
Hey, Scotty.
Hey.
Daniel Flowers
Hey,
said,
Dan.
Attic Queen.
On the scene.
And then Jen said, I love your energy.
But do you love my outfit?
Yeah.
And David Geiger said, Your Majesty, Jessica Azarelo. Thank you.
It's actually Her Majesty, but I mean,
he added more. You and Daniel Flowers bring gross to the masses. Attic Queen, A+ lawn and pest.
We actually just did a job recently together where we had to go in there, clean it out. And the good thing, once we clean everything, because that's the thing, it's like super hard to vacuum everything.
Yeah.
It's very detail oriented, and a lot of the stuff, especially because it's humid, sometimes it gets clumpy and stuff. But we have like the best, not one, but two of the best vacuums in the country. One actually was a prototype built for me, painted in.
We were talking about that, how they're like 3 times as heavy as.
Yeah, it was so funny because I had one of my employees, he was driving me down here, and then he's doing a couple inspections. But I was talking to a customer that he did the inspection for, and she was like, well, actually and it's hard to get me on the phone. And so, but a lot of these customers have high level issues. So I'm like, all right, while we're driving, we're calling this customer. And she's like, well, actually, I was referred to you by another insulation company because I was stressing to them how I have a 1-year-old, and I'm very sensitive to the rodent. She had a rodent infestation, and she's been living in the house for 2 years. And the guy immediately said, you need to call Attic Queen. So it's very flattering. But anyway, back to Daniel with A+ Pest Control. So basically, we cleaned everything out, and then we paused. So a lot of companies want to go in there real quick, make their money. I really care about the people that need other work done versus rushing to get
just get it done and get your money. Yeah.
Look, I'm not in this for the money. But basically, it allowed him to then go in there and do a proper treatment. He was able to treat for termites and for other pests as well when there's nothing in there. So
that's awesome.
That's key. And the other thing is, like, I've worked with people were like, oh, well, this pest company told me that we don't need to remove the insulation and we can just treat on top of it. No. Do rodents just stay on top of your insulation?
Exactly. Yeah.
Do rodents, when they go to the bathroom, does it just magically stay on top, or does it kind of drip down? And does air still move through that? Are you going to still breathe that air in? I think so. So I hate to say it, but if you were one of those people that fell victim to a company that was like, oh, just keep what's in there and we'll treat on top of it, that's unfortunately fake news. So, but I've worked with Daniel before. I've worked with other pest control companies as well. And it's just, you know, I just feel like we're trying to do things differently to really help the customers, because there are people that have issues. So it's just a matter of, when you're a small business, it's like, making sure they really understand. There are some people that are like, you're insane. I don't really care. Just $1,500 and just blow over it. I could care less.
Mhm.
But then there's the opposite people of like, ew, that's gross. Or, oh no, my child is asymptomatic, or I have respiratory issues, or I have this. People don't realize, like, I look at it at a different level. If I know when I'm sick, I am not who I can be. I'm a horrible business
Mhm.
owner. I can't be there for my employees. Not that I'm horrible, but it's like if I'm sick,
You're
it
not your
takes
optimum.
away, right?
Yeah.
But think about people that have jobs. People could potentially lose their job because they're missing work. People could have a bad attitude just because, like, I had somebody that I did an estimate, and I'm dealing with the husband most of the time. And for the first 30 minutes of the inspection, I thought they had a parrot.
Mhm.
And I'm walking through it. Like, he met me outside, and I'm like, well, is anybody in the house sick? He's like, well, my wife is sick. But I'm fine. He's like, I really think it's in her head. So we're in there, and I'm doing the inspection. It's one of these big custom, like, $3 million
Mhm.
houses where I think it had even an elevator in that. It's just like, whatever. So finally we make it to the master corridor, and I look up, and there's a big greenish, and I love green and I love
Yeah.
black, green, but
Yeah.
but this was like a color you're not good with, and it's right in the master hallway, double doors, bed right there. That was not a parrot, it was his wife, and that was Stachybotrys black mold that had been leaking for over 3 years, and he was fine. But
Mhm.
but he traveled like 80% of the month.
Yeah.
But guess what was next to his bed that I noticed?
Mm.
A CPAP machine.
Oh
Sir,
yeah.
sir,
Yeah.
your wife is not crazy, and you're having issues too. You're literally 8 feet away from Stachybotrys, and the wife was so sick, she stayed in bed all the time. She's literally feet away, thinking like, I just need to be in bed. No, you're in bed because you're physically ill from this. So,
Mhm. See, a lot of times, especially insulation, for lack of better words, people just think it's just like dumbed down, or like you said, just blow some stuff in there and it's going to be a little bit better on my.
don't do that.
Yeah, exactly, on my electric bill. That's all they care about. You know what I mean?
Minimal.
But
It's
air
minimal, though.
quality and everything else is so much more important. There's a lot more. I thank you, because there's so much more science to it than just that.
And that's why I'm
Keep
obsessed.
learning.
Yes, that's why I'm obsessed.
Mhm.
And it's like I had to.
You have to break the mold, because there are a lot of insulation companies that's all like, they don't know the science and they just want to blow and go, and then they don't want to actually do the job correct. And
And honestly, so on where I'm at right now, I'm kind of in a situation where I'm coming across a lot of companies that they know and don't care, or they had no clue.
Yeah.
And where I'm at with, I'm able, I look at me falling and breaking my back, where it
Mhm.
pulled me out of attics. But now I kind of get to help other contractors all over the country. I even have contractors in Australia. When they told me their extraction process, what they were using, I met him at the Insulation Contractors Association of America show in October. And he walked up to me and he's like, I'm one of your friends on the internet. And I'm like, oh, wow. And it's hard because, like, I talk to a lot of people, and I'm not clicking your profile, and I probably don't even know you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I felt, not that I felt bad, but I'm like, oh wow, where are you from? He's like, I came here from Australia. I'm like, good day, Mike. So I actually helped him. I gave him some really sound advice on vacuums. He was going to go with a manufacturer that has had multiple catastrophic failures upon initial use. And this is a company, I had a prototype vacuum made for me by Cool Machines.
Mhm.
And before they made theirs, I had another company try, and it had catastrophic failures. And this is 4 years ago. So this young man from Australia is about to, like, his system, they can only remove like 12 square feet at a time. It was like they did these little cube. I couldn't even imagine. I'm like, you need to send me a video on this because this is
Yeah.
crazy. But honestly, I would quit. There is no, I will do anything. That's just ridiculous. So he ended up getting in touch with the better manufacturer, getting it out there. But I've been able to educate people. I've had people join the industry. I've had HVAC contractors add insulation services as an add-on. And it's like, when you're a business, if you can look at what the house needs, and if you have a solution for it, it's great, especially when you do, I can tell you right now, we've had to partner with electrical companies because they needed to rewire a whole house. Well, guess what? They're
They
not
go up
crawling
there
through the
and
insulation. Suck it all out, right?
Yeah.
They do a better job. Same thing with AC. If they're redoing their ductwork, it's a good opportunity to clean everything out. It's a better install with the ductwork too, where it's like you're trying to do the tape and the thingy and then the mastic and stuff, but you got all this nasty blow all over, cellulose, right? Sticking to it. Or it's like when you're doing plumbing. Again, we've had to
repipes or whatever.
We did a lot of work in Lakeland. Actually, shout out to Combi Insulation, who's been in business for probably 40 years. They own, I feel like, all of Lakeland, but they got so big that they stopped doing extractions. But they came across this girl on the internet that loved vacuuming 5 years ago, right? So they give me all their work. So I would go drive down to Lakeland, but Lakeland had a lot of the old brittle PVC piping. So a lot of times we get called out there to do the clean outs just so they can do the plumbing. So but it's just amazing. So I've helped other companies. I'm like, look, do the business, but if you have an opportunity and you have guys that can go in there and vacuum it out, like you're going to increase profits on jobs. And it's going to be better for the customer. If people understood why they need to do certain things, like I have people all the time, and
education.
Yeah. And
education.
One very, very brilliant, successful business owner that I know said, well, I didn't know that insulation expired. I'm like, expired? I never really thought of it as that word, but it can go bad. And people are like, well, when should I remove my insulation? So it's like, all right, typical rule of thumb, if it's 20, 30 years old, if it's starting to look scary, if you've ever had rodents, if you've had water damage, if there's mold, if your house is super leaky and you want to air seal those penetrations to do it properly, you want to suck everything up, or if you're spray foaming your attic, you want to remove the thermal boundary on the attic floor, you want to clean that up because then you're going to foam it. So, and then again, doing electrical, plumbing, things like that, those are all reasons. Or if you're doing home improvements where you're dropping a ceiling, you don't want that stuff, old nasty stuff, to kind of bomb down. Do people do it? Yes, but those are typically reasons why, right? So people, right now they're trained to like, oh, you can just blow over it. But there are more educated homeowners or even tenants that are living in houses where they're kind of like, unfortunately, dealing with the slumlord. I've had tenants actually pay the project of their own because of what it was doing to their family. So
no, we see that. We see that all the time. I got a couple questions. So number one, Attic Queen, where'd you get the name?
Well, obviously I started working in attics, and growing up, my brother, who is amazing, he would always call me Queen. I don't know. I don't think I was the B word, but I'm just, I'm going to have to get clarification, but he always called me Queen, right? I don't know. I guess I put off this royal presence all the time, this grandioso thing, but I don't know. It just kind of got put together. So I was working for the insulation company. He had bought the insulation company from Texas. They had all the equipment, but they ended up going into wholesaling, and they were wholesaling insulation products. So basically they trained him, he trained me, I trained from them, but they all had the same colors. So I was like, all right, well, I'm a sales rep for this wholesale company, trying to help other companies that do what I do, install these products to help with better performance and increase profits. And then I work for this company, and then I'm my own individual self. So that's how I got the colors. Like
that was my next question, the colors, because I love them.
Black. They do green, white, and black. So I never had any thought of leaving his company, and it was very sad that he saw it as a threat. Because like me, and even when I was corporate, I'm a company girl. I'm like, let's do this. And it's hard to do things. It's hard being a business owner. I wish I had
Yeah.
as much. You know, you guys have been doing this for 50 years. We'll be 5 in April, but you know, I want it. I like matching, obviously.
Shoes and everything.
Now, don't worry. I have like, I know I'm a little inappropriate, but no, this is like a sport thing. So, you know, sometimes people call me out because I have several different shades, but I do actually have my own Pantone with Cool Machines manufacturer. So we're not going to get that twisted because there's some other insulators that said that they claimed the green, which that we'll save that for.
Yeah.
The Pantone is Attic Queen green. Thank you very much.
Well, they don't market as good as you anyway.
No,
so
no. I mean, they could try to often duplicated, never replicated, or is it? Doesn't matter. They're just not me.
Yeah.
And that's it. I mean, I try to just be consistent. That's the thing, and that Brian Tracy talked about in Unstoppable. It's like he talks about the 4 C's, and one of them is just being consistent, right?
Yeah.
So
I read his book actually. Yeah.
Amazing, right?
Yeah.
Brian Tracy is amazing.
Yeah. That's in our mission statement, and that's the one word that when I have a service meeting, I point to every single time. I talk about consistency, because it doesn't matter who's going out there. You have to have the right systems and processes, the way they look.
Yep.
The way they do everything needs to be consistent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the only way to scale a business, because if you're not consistent, you know, people are going to get different experiences.
Exactly. And that's like, you know, that's been my biggest challenge as a small business, to get everything out of here on, you know, to getting it into like writing and doing the SOPs and everything. Cause again, overnight it went from me doing every single inspection, being on every single job, getting everything done. I remember I would be vacuuming and answering my phone. Attic Queen, this is Jessica, and they're like, "Hello," and I'm like, "Hello, can you hear me?" I'm like, "Can you text me?" Right? And it's just you know to grow and get there. But you know, when I got injured, it totally changed me. And then the surgery recovery was like almost 2 years, and even to now. So it's like I went from I'm gonna be there, don't worry, everything is fine, to me having to like set up we use House Call Pro, and it's amazing. We have checklists that are set up in there, pictures, videos. So when I hurt myself, I came up with like a 37 question inspection, and they go take pictures, they take videos. I review everything, and I build
we have the same thing. Yeah.
So if you're kind of doing your best to identify the house and what it has, and you look at the same 50 things, let's say, in a house, and not all of those things are going to apply to a house, but if you kind of use the general understanding of that as like your roadmap, I think it kind of helps somebody understand. So yeah.
Yeah, we have it for, you know, the sales process to make sure we get absolutely everything. We have it for checklists from after we do, say, an install, a service, you know what I mean? Because you want to be consistent, and you want to be so thorough. You know, sometimes you go up to a job and it would literally take five minutes to complete, but then you're not looking at the full system. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then it's like you fix one part of it, right? You're like, yes, that only took me 5 minutes.
Then the person calls you
now,
back
guess
2 weeks
what?
later.
You're like,
go,
my air's not working, and it's like
people get very irritated when they don't have air in Florida. It's the summertime. So.
They get a little bit upset about that, and that was, you know, that was the craziest thing about COVID, because now people aren't used to being stuck at home. And I don't know, what's the average household like? There's 6 people in a household. I feel like people don't realize like occupants drive a lot of the behavior. You take showers. You're like, I took like a long shower. I was like, good today. I'm on podcast. I'm gonna be live. I'm doing the facial. I'm doing like shaving and all that. And I'm like, oh yeah, I did a hair mask, face mask, all of it. And I'm in there, and I'm like, I think that's why I got here. And I'm like, Brooke, I'm feeling a little like I have my face popping out of my head, but the whole bathroom, and I'm trying to like. Usually in your bathroom, you're supposed to have a bath exhaust that you're supposed to run for at least 30 minutes.
30
after
minutes.
And
you should actually be timered. I have a motion timer, but
well, we put one in the main one.
Yeah.
So we're about to go through a major bathroom renovation in our master. So I've slowly shifted mine like to another room. So I'm like, and that one doesn't have a vent. So literally this morning, like I'm fogged out in my shower, right? Getting all luxury. Hopefully I look good. Lighting and everything. And then like my face was like almost purple. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like standing on my toilet trying to open my window because I'm trying to get the moisture out there, right? But again, these are all the crazy things, but occupants drive that, right? People
Yeah.
don't realize you put all of that in there. You're saturating everything. You got water dripping. Like it was raining inside my
The
bathroom.
doors are going to open more, and
yeah, they're gonna get stuck and things like that. But it's just, it's building science, baby.
Mhm.
It's
is.
it's the things that make you say, "Huh,
Mhm.
too much."
Yep. Mhm.
Let's
I
see.
promised myself I was going to let Brooke ask more questions this time. So go ahead, Brooke.
I want to know what's the like craziest thing you've seen in an attic,
Oof.
as far as just whatever you can.
I've
think
seen
of.
some of her
Yeah.
pictures and videos and stuff. So.
Well, the craziest thing my guys have like sent me, like there was something very petrifiably dead. It was like this big. So that was interesting personally. And it's not what actually it was what I saw. Murder suicide. It's big on the news. Carrollwood probably 3 years ago. I had actually it was more than that, like 4 years ago. And it was like this crazy story. It was a 13-hour standoff. This I don't know, a group of friends hadn't heard from like their friend. They drive by the house and the husband's Jeep is backed up to the door in a way that if you saw the setup of the driveway, it shouldn't have been backed up to. And then they call the cops to do a welfare check. They go look through the windows. There's blood all over the house. 13-hour standoff. They end up breaking the door down. They tear gas the house. There was on the wall, they showed me pictures of it. It said "help me" on the wall, written in blood. It was the craziest thing. So there were chunks. Anyway, I probably shouldn't talk about it. But when I went that house, there was a massive skull that had like all of its teeth that clogged my vacuum. So that was one of my funnest things. I soaked it in Attic Fresh for like 2 years, and then it's like really clean and awesome now. But the craziest thing that you couldn't see was the feeling the house made you feel. Now, I don't know if it's because there was a murder suicide in it, or I'm pretty sure it probably had to do with the fact that it was tear gas. So we had to remove the insulation because the tear gas was retained in the insulation.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But honestly,
Jeez.
maybe 3 times I've questionably gotten extremely either heat stroked or that situation where and my team stepped up at that time. I was there with 3 of my guys, and I'm like, I am not okay. Like I had pins and needles throughout my whole body, and it was just crazy. But again, that was the good old days when things were fun and I got to vacuum and do all the things that women are supposed to be doing. But again, it was just like the fact that the scene of it, right? And it was on like television show.
Oh my gosh.
On the news, like it was crazy. So that would be so
yeah, that's gonna be hard to beat there.
Yeah, but the crazier part was the cleanup crew. Like it was like a big company. They have a television show, crime scene investigators, that's on TV, and it was like one of their projects.
Yeah. Get me on TV.
Oh my god, I know. I don't know if that ever. I'm sure it did, but it was just like I create my own shows everywhere I go.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Live.
Here we go. We were live on the hub.
I know. We really
it.
were. Honestly, it happened. So, hey, Johnny Ray.
Oh, yep.
Johnny was just on the podcast 2 weeks ago.
I saw that. I went to his shop. I had to have him do some work for me on a necklace that I got. It was too long, and I have like super tiny wrists. So he was able to like get me this cool clasp and make it into a bracelet and a necklace. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice. And he brings
He's such a
class
good
back
guy
to
as
Hudson.
well. That's
Did
right.
you hear that?
Yes.
Gold galore?
Yes.
Okay. Have you been there yet?
I have not. I want to though.
Go.
My mom actually used to go there.
Yeah. And it was awesome. I'm like, I walked in there and I was like, did he set that throne up, that chair? He has this like king and queen, like a king chair, I'm sure. Had a crown on it. I'm like, is this a setup?
Yeah.
I don't think so. It's their own thing. Right? I live in this whole
And he
world.
does so many different things too. I didn't even know.
You know what the crazy thing is that like I got 2 drum sets and I was driving around all of Pasco, Pinellas, Hudson, everywhere with this drum set in the back of my truck. And I went to a Hub Pro meeting, like a mastermind meeting, and I don't even know what I said, but obviously I say kinds of crazy stuff. And he's like, "Oh, he's a real live rock star.
Mhm.
Did you know that?"
Oh yeah.
And we need to talk, Johnny Ray.
Mhm.
I have drum sets I need to set up and play. I have music videos I need to see, like all of this. So
You're the
anyway,
real deal, you know.
I know all this is not happening. So gotta just get my truck finished.
He's such him and his wife.
Yeah.
They're really good people. You
Yeah.
could just feel
I met
it,
the
you
son,
know?
like the kids too. It's like a little
Mhm.
family
Mhm.
business. It's like beautiful. I don't honestly. I just met his wife Sarah, right?
Yes.
And I just like it's beautiful, and she has beautiful jewelry and like all the
Mhm.
chains. She's on like hashtag gold.
Yeah.
And then Brooks McNichols said it's always better when the community works together. Love this.
Yeah.
Nice, such a good
Brooke,
guy, too.
he just had his grand opening too, right?
I
Up
believe
at
so.
his
Yeah.
shop. He does tree
Yeah, he does tree. Yeah.
and maintenance of equipment, or is that I don't know.
He did. I don't know, Brooks, if you're still watching, put your information on there. He's always a good guy. And just,
Yeah, he's another one. Like there's certain people that are like mindset and
Mm-hmm.
positivity and breeding culture
Mhm.
and all of those kind of great things. And I feel like when you run your business that way, I've watched some of his videos, and there was
Yeah.
one of them where they were like circling up, and like I love that. And
Mhm.
I just put what are those things you like Alexa, and I'm trying to have speakers installed throughout my warehouse to turn on right at like 5:25 a.m. That way, when the installers walk through at 5:30, they're forced to listen to Brian Tracy Unstoppable.
Oh, there you
Like,
go.
No, seriously, that's
Yeah.
like what I believe in. And it's like, I've been in and out of my office a couple times where they weren't expecting me to come, and it's dead silent. I'm like, why are we not listening to positivity podcast or building science stuff? Because it's like literally, I have to habit stack everything. So it's
Mhm.
like when I'm working out, I am, if I'm not doing hot yoga in an attic, vacuuming, getting my hit and all of that,
Yeah.
listening to, but I'm usually listening to like a podcast on building science, or I'm listening it on business development, or if I'm going through things, I've all kinds of things that I've been through, and I'm like, oh man, I'm feeling real down today. I need to listen to something that's going to uplift me,
Uplift
or
you.
just, and not even uplift me. I'm a pretty positive person, but it's just like, usually I'll turn something on and it'll break me through, where it's like, I needed to hear that. Right.
Yeah.
But sometimes, and it's funny because you could be going and you're like, just listening to words, and you're not really hearing anything until you finally hear something, and you're like,
Mhm.
that was the second that I needed to hear, like right now. So, but shout out to Brooks and any other company that's running their company that way.
The right way. Yep.
Yep.
Back to installation. How would you rank like good to best insulation? Isolene, cellulose. What's I know, and some stuff do different things. Like some are better for sound dampening and that.
All right.
kind of
So
stuff.
the ultimate insulation that's going to give you your best R value, but also the moisture barrier,
Mhm.
would be closed cell.
Closed cell, yeah.
Right. So again, that's important in hot, humid states.
Mhm.
But again, and that makes the house super tight.
Yeah.
Which is, people are like, oh my gosh, the house is too big. Okay, well, the point of it is for you to have your mechanical set up to bring in
air.
the fresh air that is filtered a certain way. So again,
filtered, conditioned, and then
correct. And they're like, oh, well, why would you tighten it and then bring outside air in? It's because you have the control of the air that's coming in and what
quality,
right? Exactly. You're filtering it in. It's like you're in a surgery, right? How they have to have all this equipment where they're introducing these fresh air things and all these things to keep you clean. Versus, open cell is still a good option as well, where again, it's creating a sealed envelope and it's allowing you to have conditioned space. In Florida, we run our ductwork through the attic.
Yeah.
So it really sucks when your ductwork is running through 150, 160 degrees.
Yeah.
And we get
it's already hot outside. And then you're running it, you're trying to cool your air. And then again, you have loss going through such,
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know, the ducts are what, R6 or maybe
R6,
now R8.
We do R8.
Yeah. So that's good that you guys are doing, the R8. But again, still like R8 versus 160 degrees of hell
Yeah.
above your head,
Yeah.
So
Continually. Yeah.
That's one of the benefits of spray foam is now instead of your attic being 150 degrees, it's only, within 5 degrees of what you're setting your air conditioning at, right? But again, then you have to, the house is tighter, so you don't need as large of a unit. So sometimes you could spray foam it if it's a retro project, for example. Sometimes sometimes air conditioning units are older and they're small or struggling to keep up, and it could kind of, save the system a little bit. But a lot of times, do you experience where like people have installed an AC and it's like too big to begin with, and people are having issues and
it's hard to tell people that too, because they just always think
like,
bigger is better.
I want a 5 ton. It's like, no, you don't. No,
my house is so humid though all the time.
I wonder why.
It's short cycling, it's not,
people
don't realize that.
People are like, I turn my air conditioning on and within 5 minutes I have it down to 64 degrees. Well, first of all, you're creating your own nightmare because nobody needs to be setting their air at 64 degrees. Yeah. That's a whole nother thing.
And that can create condensation and everything else.
People,
in your house,
I did a major mold remediation where the mold remediation portion of it was over $100,000 for the mold remediation part. Mind you, these people had to move out of their house. Right. So then my part of it was just under, it was like $20,000 to redo everything. And you want to know why? The bath exhaust, well, it was a big custom house, but like the bath exhaust, it was like an S shape, right? Then it wasn't ducting. So usually you want to run it straight. I can't even tell you the curve. So, the air is pulling back. Woman took crazy long showers and she set the air at 65 degrees. So yeah. A lot of people create major issues.
Or people have big fish tanks.
Yeah,
and it's just
water.
Oh, where do you think that water goes? That evaporates it. You got
like
it.
People are cooking. They have kids and they all have friends, and they're the house that has all the kids over playing. They're all running and screaming and perspirating and putting air into the air. And like people, people don't realize what it's putting into the air. So there's the spray foam and changing your building envelope. Again, if you're not in the South, do not listen to what I'm saying because you guys spray foam down. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, you're not putting a vapor barrier. Like, mind your business, please. You live in Minnesota. So, traditionally what we see mostly down here then is, fiberglass, right? So fiberglass, cellulose, I don't love cellulose just because it is dustier. But truthfully, it has a higher R value per inch than fiberglass does. So at that point, it's kind of like, what do you want? Some people are just fully turned off by it. And with, fiberglass or cellulose or anything blown, you have your stated R value. Yeah. But as the air flows through, insulation slows the resistance of heat or cold from one area to the other. But guess what? Once it makes its way to its 63 can lights and your 14 air conditioning supplies and vents, and it has those cracks, crack is whack, it'll pull the air through it. Right. So even if you have R38, it's diminishing return because the air can go through it. So if you don't air sealing is the secret sauce. So whether you're spray foaming, open cell, closed cell, or if you're going to do the traditionally blown fiberglass, cellulose, whatever, you want to air seal the penetrations on the attic floor.
Correct. And a lot of people miss that. A lot of.
Yes.
Same thing on the HVAC. You have to seal everything,
Yeah.
Because otherwise you will get air leakage and then you will get condensation. You will get, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I'm sure you've seen it all.
I know.
Yeah.
Like I tell you, I'm closing my eyes right now and I just see pictures like rats, rodent infested insulation, pictures of vents that are shaped with stars from the drywall because it's air leakage. People like, does that mold? No. When it's streaked like that, it's burst of air shooting dust through your air and you're seeing it. It's like I just see these things and I can I'm like, oh my God. I'm in a restaurant. I feel like every restaurant we go to, they sit me under an access point and I'm just like, man, I wonder what's up there. The original hub meeting or group that they had in Newport Richie, in their bathroom, like the attic access was like right in there. And I'm like fighting myself to not climb on the sink to get up there. Yeah. So it's just, these things haunt me. And I just
did we have, I forget, Jesse, did we have pictures or anything? Yeah, let's throw some pictures up. I know we're over
man.
time wise,
Are
but
we?
nah, we can go. It's our show. We can do whatever we want.
Yeah. That's what I'm like. Yeah, it's crazy.
Can you see that?
Oh yeah. So that thing of me and that's a blower door.
Okay.
So that is a tool that we can use to check pressure of the house, like identify leaks.
Do you do that before and after,
you
or
can
just before?
like
or-
there's sometimes where customers like, well, why am I going to spend X amount of dollars with you when those people are a third of your price?
Yeah.
And it's like, I can literally show you that we're going to cut your leakage by at least 30. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I can tell them where this is
Proof's
what
in
your
the
numbers were
pudding.
before. This is what it was after. So there are some customers that'll pay for that. And
Mhm.
some of them that are like, maybe sometimes like I'll do it for free just to show them where
Yeah.
it's like, I'm grateful for the opportunity that you're
Mhm.
looking at me versus the other 3 people that
Mhm.
are literally not talking about anything that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I've piqued your interest
Mhm.
because there are people that if they knew better, they would do better. Right.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
sometimes I'll just kind of do the dog and pony show where it's like,
Mhm. There you
I'm
go.
going to show
Let's
you.
go.
But I try not to. I love being in the field, but because of my back surgery and what I have inside of me, like I have way too much fun and I can't not go in an attic
Mhm.
per se. So it's, that's the thing that I battled with because when I hurt myself, I'm like, there's no way I can continue to do this business because of how like hands-on and how like neurotic that I am.
Mhm.
But like sometimes I do things and it hurts me for like days and you know what I mean? So that kind
Yeah.
of goes back to,
Put
why I
yourself
left
in a worse
corporate health and
position.
happiness. And what I realized is I'm 34 out, not now, but at the time I wasn't healthy or
Mhm.
happy. And no matter what, I was going to have a fearless pursuit to find health and happiness every single day. And here I am, almost 6 years later of me doing this, right? Where it's like, I wake up in the morning and I feel that in me.
Yeah.
And, when I'm doing things, it's like all fun, or it's like they need me to do this. And it's like, your team doesn't need you. Your team is fine. Like, get out of your head, But I mean, imagine being the attic queen and not being
Yeah.
able to go into the attic.
Attic,
Like, talk about
yeah.
it, mind the F word.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Honestly, a lot of times it's kind of therapy. It gets, in the office all day long, you're kind of just dealing with problems and
I
stuff
know. And
like
it's just
that.
like,
And it's
you're
nice
just-
to kind of go out and just do the work.
I know. And then it's like when I have to get on the phone with customers to like explain things, and I hear the pain in their voice.
Mhm.
And it just saddens me that like, there have been people that have gone through contractor after contractor, and I'm talking about they've shelled out, some of them have shelled out hundreds of thousands of dollars and they don't have a solution and they still have problems. And I look at them and I just see the dark circles under their eyes. I see
Mhm.
their kids like, and it kind of, I get like chills talking about it. Like,
Mhm.
that's what like it emotionally, like as a small business owner, you want to help everybody. And then when you hear things like that, where it's like, well, so and so told me that all I needed to do was blow more insulation, so that's what I did. Well, now I'm in here trying to extract
More.
like now it's costing you way more, and we have to suck it all out, and it's going to be
Mhm.
mixed old with new. So it's not like I can suck out what they blew and then
Yeah.
blow it back in, which I've done that before with brand new blow.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
it's really, really sad. And, we genuinely do our best. And, I just try to have people understand. So hopefully soon my systems will be set up to where there's a video automation after they set, our system is great. They get text alerts and everything. You guys
Mhm.
have the same
Yeah.
thing too.
Yeah.
Aren't you on Service Titan?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It is.
But it's super expensive. and
Expensive it
you
is.
literally need to like,
Have somebody on staff.
Isn't Brooke like in charge of, isn't she one of the ones that's like super hardcore with Service Titan?
She knows a lot about Service Titan,
Yeah.
especially on the marketing and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's
It's-
so
You need
much.
to have somebody.
I was talking about that this morning. I'm like, you literally have to have somebody almost full time because they come up with new stuff all the time to be able to implement and continually adjust and everything. It's really good, but it's very time consuming.
That's the biggest thing is when you can be a company and like this is what I'm working on, where it's like,
Mhm.
it's a video of me explaining each step or why
Yes.
something would be just because there's a lot, there's a
Mhm,
lot that could be going on. And again,
mhm.
I'll review the estimate right now, how we have it structured. We go do the inspection, and then I have my office manager. She has her building science principles. She went through many different trainings and whatnot. So she'll build the scope of work. She was the one that originally spoke with them on the front end too.
Yeah.
So she has an idea. She reviews the inspection, builds it. I review everything, make changes, and then send it, right? And hope that, hopefully we did a good enough job on the front end of kind
Yeah.
of saying, hey, this is what we're
Explaining it,
doing.
yeah.
But that's why, what I'm trying to work on now is the whole videos of like, hey, you're going to get 4 options from us. You're going to get what you asked for, but we're also going to give you your breakdown of what you should do according to your house, right? So, but I feel like there's a little bit of a disconnect because people will look at it and they're like, oh my gosh, what the
Yeah.
hell? Like, why are they so expensive? And it's like, well, because this one is just adding, and you have 4 skylights, you have 15 can lights, you have 3 bath exhaust vents, you have 480 square feet of knee walls that are
Mhm.
failing, and you have 7 different drop downs which need to be covered. So, I mean, yeah,
Yep.
we need videos for that, but we're getting there.
Actually, pictures.
Let's see. Yeah, so that's me doing a blower door, the one next to it. Let's see. What is that? Is that a video? Did I send you a video? The one to the left?
It's
Oh.
kind of hard to see. We were looking at a smaller TV. That's kind of hard to see.
I know. It was like, what?
And then you got some guys with like a face mask on.
No, that's me.
Or
That's
that's
me.
you.
That's a girl. That's a girl wearing a face mask. No, because it's
Can't
like
see the hair.
so hair. All right, look. So air sealing and long hair do not mix, especially like when you're head
Little
deep
foam
in
and-
teeth,
Oh yeah.
right? So you're foaming and
caught.
then you pull back your hair. So, oh Lord.
Nah,
But
you're
like, so you wear head socks. Even guys with short hair, like, I need a head sock. So that's good. That was like, it was green and black. Obviously, had to have it.
good. Yeah.
Yep.
got you.
That's me climbing into one of my hoppers. I honestly think that might have been when I worked for the other company of me
Mhm.
bending over into that. But I don't.
fun.
I do have that same machine though. Anyway,
yeah.
I don't remember if that was before Attic Queen but either way. But that's what you put the insulation in that breaks the insulation up in an auger and shoots it out. So that is called hopper
really?
duty. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So when you're filling up, putting the insulation in the machine when you're doing blow,
Mhm.
that's called hopper duty.
Yeah.
I'm on hopper duty.
You're on hopper
It's like,
duty
yeah.
today.
Yeah. And then when you're doing an extraction, it's ground duty. Like today, we had a job in a Safety Harbor, and I live in Safety Harbor and I work
Yeah.
out there. So I was like, you know what? Let me roll through. So I like roll through and I see like the sidewalk was blocked, like little things.
Yeah.
And then, I'm like looking at things. So I take the one guy that's newer and I'm like, look, ground duty is like, I know it seems boring because you're like staring at the bags, you're waiting
Yeah.
for the bags to fill up. But I'm like, look, you do not realize how important that the guy on ground duty is. Like, you're the one, especially when like today
You
we
keep
had
it moving.
right. And it's like, all right, step 1 is vacuuming. So, as they're getting it set up, and if you're going to be on the ground, I tell them the ground guys should go in the attic and clear out all the big debris so the guys can get in there and do the vacuuming, right? Then
Mhm.
come down. Then by the time they're done vacuuming, the next step is to sanitize. Your pump sprayer, your sprayer you're using is literally waiting underneath the ladder for
Mhm.
them to pull it up. Hoses
Start
come
going.
out. The next thing that's also waiting there for you, your foam guns. You made sure that the tips are shaved, they're full can, they've shaken,
Yeah.
everything is there in the bag, pull it up. And then everything else that isn't needed is back in the trailer, right? And it's just they're like, oh, okay. But I remember I had to do ground duty on this like massive job. We had all hands on deck. We had like 8 people there and it was a nightmare. And I'm like, I got the ground. I did over 30,000 steps. Now I get to a job site, I like throw my truck in park and I turn on my fitness watch and I'm like, I track it. I'm like, I burned 1,278 calories and I took 30,000 steps. And you know what I mean? People are like, ground duty is boring. I'm like, not really. Like if you know
Not
what
if
you're
doing it right.
yeah.
Yes.
And this was like a huge house, and I just have too much fun with it. But it's just again, everything is like all a matter of good systems and stuff,
Mhm.
and being aware and just, I don't know, always looking. It's like, oh, something doesn't need to be there, put it
Yeah.
away, because why wait till the end? Because the end sucks anyway. You're all
Everything
tired.
just piles up. Yeah, piles up.
So
Yeah.
just little things.
Oh, there you are by the truck.
Yeah, so that
that your team?
actually, all right. So the woman behind me, her name is Jenna Pendley, and she was a realtor. Her parents own insulation machines, and they travel all over the country. I bought in probably 3 or 4 pieces of equipment from them on real estate market tank. She was a top realtor in Alabama, and Suzanne, the mom, called me, and she's like, I was wondering, Jenna thinks she wants to open up an insulation company specializing in extractions. Will you come out and train her? So that's the daughter that I trained. She's amazing. She's beautiful, single mom. She actually just found like the perfect man where they live, and his family owns the largest HVAC company. I'm like, you have like
all the leads in the world.
Not even that. I'm like, that's like the perfect couple, like an insulator and an HVAC person, you know, because it's just like so funny. So that's her. Then the guy standing like this, that is Tony Erickson. He is a BPI trainer. So in our industry, you got BPI certifications, but he's also a building analyst, an inspector, and he's also an actor too.
Oh, wow.
He's so awesome. So when I hurt my back, like the great thing about me is like I call them internet friends.
Yeah.
And, you know, friends in low places, and all these people that have like 20, 30 years of like building science expertise, they came across me, whether I took their class or I got certified or I came across them on a podcast or on their videos. And I'm, you know, I now at my disposal, I hit him up. I'm like, hey, Tony, I got these people coming in. I want to, you know, I'll pay you to come do inspections, train my team. So he came out. I was actually trying to offer him a position because I really need a business partner. And he owned his own home performance company. He lives out in Salt Lake, and he travels like all over the country when he does his BPI certifications. So I thought I was going to have a good business partner, but he can't take the heat.
Yeah.
Like Florida is brutal, man. Like, so, and then I have, you know, those are my installers that I have. And that's my very first box truck that I got. So that's at Queen's Quarters in Oldsmar. So,
Cool.
yep.
Awesome. Love that.
What else do you have? Anything, Brooke?
I don't think so, unless you wanted to ask the last question.
I'll ask the last
you always
question
ask.
then. 5 years from now, where are you going to be?
On an island.
Yeah.
But several times throughout the month, probably speaking somewhere, honestly. I spend a lot of time fighting for advocacy within the industry, trying to get funding. My push is funding. I helped get this $9 billion bill passed through Congress a few years ago. And
Awesome.
it was amazing. And $8.5 billion of it went for people to get work done to their house. That's not my client. You know, and, you know, shout out to those people that had that. But what made me tick is the $500 million that was available for contractors to send their people to get trained. And, you know, I actually just got asked, I was on the cover of an industry magazine last month, and there's all these things that keep coming out. Everyone's like asking me all these things. Well, I've been saying it for years, like what is one thing that if you could change? I'm like, I want the building code to be stricter so we can have more air sealing. But, you know, I've had the ability that all these people that I've looked up to with Building Performance Institute and Building Performance Association, which is the nonprofit that ties in all of the funding and all of the programs, that, you know, they've all been, you know, not necessarily using me, but like, hey, let me interview you and let me, you know, what's your feedback on this? And can you sit on this board? So, you know, I think it's going to be more of me 5 years from now having many attic queens all over the country, because me as a woman, I never thought in a million years that I would leave corporate America and open an insulation company. But I mean, again, I can't say this enough. Women are supposed to stay home and vacuum. So we're going to get paid a good amount of money for it. And we're going to have lots of little kids. We're going to teach them how to do things the right way. And they're going to respect us because we're nurturing and we're trying to help them become better and give people opportunities. So I'm hoping there's going to be lots more attic queen, women-owned locations across the country. But I really would like to spend as much time as I possibly can getting out there and educating homeowners and educating other contractors, whether they're insulators or AC companies, plumbing company, any kind of trade that really wants to do a good job and have a better understanding of the work they're doing, because it may put off a light bulb to be like, oh, well, we've been doing this wrong, and if we did this, it would be better. Or if we worked with an insulator and we did it in this order, we would have a happier customer with a
I
better
already
outcome.
have that. Yeah, running through my
So
head.
yeah, so that's that. So I hope 5 years gets here soon because
Yeah.
I'll have a lot more people.
I don't know. You seem like you have a lot of energy.
I do have. This is going to be exhausting, so I can't
Yeah.
wait. Again, hopefully by the time this is done, my employee's waiting for me, and he's going to drive me back so I can send some estimates out, call some people back, maybe take a nap. I doubt it, but this is, I have a lot of energy, but it's exhausting because I'm just so passionate, and it like drains me because
I could do this. Yeah.
So anyway, but I can talk about this stuff.
Well, Jessica, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
You have been just absolutely amazing. I think we can see it, but I think it really portrayed in the podcast too, just your love for what you're doing, your love for insulation, your love for helping people. That's, frankly refreshing and amazing to see that. So
the one thing
keep doing it.
I love the most is just life. If you can wake up every day and no matter how hard life seems, just realize you have the ability to impact at least one person, make it be good, and find a journey in your life that makes you happy and always like health and happiness. I can't stress that enough. So not only do I love my business, I just love life. And I hope everybody can get to that point where things are going to always be hard and they're going to suck, and they will. It's a mindset. And if you are in a hole, I've been there. If you believe in yourself and listen to Brian Tracy over 1,000 times, the same video, you'll dig yourself out. But
we got shovels back there.
Yeah, honestly, just if you believe, you will achieve. And just every day, just even if it's a small step, just do it. So thank you guys so much for having me. It really meant a lot.
Jessica, we appreciate you. And thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Bye.